Okay, here's a question I'm actually asked quite often post-transplant, and it's basically this: Jim, what type of diet do you follow and or recommend for a heart transplant recipient? Well, I'll be totally honest with you. I don't actually follow a really strict regimented diet post-transplant. I just never have. I follow a diet, and I do diet, if you will, but I'm not doing it for any specific reason or purpose. So things like the fad diets that are out, or diets that specifically cause you to lose or gain weight or to gain muscle mass, I'm not following any of that stuff post-transplant. Basically speaking, what I'm doing is following the recommendation of my team and my team only. I don't really care what your team says or a team over here. I'm just basically going with what my team says and taking that as kind of Bible, if you will. However, with that being said, basically there are three things I like to always recommend to anyone if they're going to start a diet related to a transplant or some other type of organ failure. And it's basically this. Number one, choose a diet that is sensible. Okay, number one, choose a diet that is sensible. And what I mean by that is you need to choose a diet that is based upon the recommendations of someone who works specifically and specially in your field of failure. Again, so if I'm a heart transplant patient, I'm going to follow a heart related or heart healthy type of diet. If I'm a liver transplant patient, I'm going to follow a diet that is specifically designed to help to enhance or to build the strength or the abilities of the liver. I'm just going to do that. And so I think you all will always be sensible with your diet, and that is, don't look for diets that accomplish one goal or another, say losing weight or gaining muscle like that, but look for a diet that has been widely used and known to deal with your type of issue, no matter what it is. And that doesn't always account to you being a transplant recipient. For example, a heart healthy diet is a heart healthy diet. It doesn't matter who you are. So choose a diet that is a sensible diet. Number two, you need to choose a diet that is a serviceable diet. And what I mean by that is, go ahead and set out in your mind right now that whatever diet you choose to follow, say for example me, a heart healthy diet, which includes things like low sodium, low sugars, low fat, higher proteins, but mainly vegetable type of proteins, that sort of thing. Once I choose that diet, choose one that's actually sensible or serviceable to me. And what I mean by that is, I've got to be able to do it, okay? If I'm going to be out on the road driving every day and stopping in at fast food restaurants for every meal, it's just not going to be serviceable. I'm going to have to come up with a way to make my diet work, whether that's packing a lunch or being sure that I'm at home for most of my meals, or maybe skipping that lunchtime meal simply because I don't want to have to eat junk. I've got to do something that is serviceable. So it has to be a diet that works, basically, that works directly for you. And a diet that may work for me, being as I'm basically a stay-at-home dad who makes YouTube videos, may be totally different for you if you're over-the-road truck driver, or maybe you're in a workplace, or just out doing other things that preoccupy you and keep you away from being able to eat kind of those better foods that you might find in your own pantries or refrigerators, okay? So just make sure it is serviceable. And then number three, you've got to choose a diet that in your mind is sustainable, okay? It has to be sensible, serviceable, but then sustainable. And what I mean by that is, this is not a short-term haul, okay? This is not that for the first month out of transplant, I eat a perfect diet and I avoid processed foods and, again, low sugars, low fats, low salt or sodium. I can't do that for just a month and then kind of quit, or I can't do that for just a month and get lazy or lax in that. This is something I've got to be able to sustain. And so I always encourage people, because of that sustainability point, to be real careful, not to try to be too extreme, okay? Just because you need to be on a low sodium diet, don't just cut out all sodium altogether. Don't just cut out all fat altogether, all sugary foods altogether, and just go cold turkey, because the truth is, you're probably not going to sustain that. One of my good friends who happens to live up in Canada, one of the sayings that he helped me with years ago, he said, everything in moderation, including moderation. Okay, and the way you make a diet sustainable is by doing the best that you can every time you can, and then when you have failures, just bounce back, okay? I'm going to tell you up front, if I get a chance today, I will probably be eating a cheeseburger for lunch, even though that's going to be filled with sodium, filled with fats, filled with the sugar of the bun, and all sorts of things. It's just not going to be that great. But what I'm going to do to sustain that and to be able to make that possible is, that's going to be a once in the blue moon thing. I'm going to bounce back by having the burger at lunch, maybe having a salad at night. I'm going to bounce back by maybe having a glass of sweet tea, which we in the South love the stuff, but having a glass of sugary sweet tea. And then for the rest of the day, I'm going to be sure I drink nothing but pure, clean, filtered water. Just have to learn to moderate these things. You've got to be cautious. You've got to be careful, but you've got to do something that is sustainable for the long haul. If that means that your diet is not perfect and clean and straight down the line and straight off the books and off the pages of your doctor's recommendations, maybe that's okay. But you just got to use moderation and make sure this is something you can do for the long haul. So again, I'm about 9 years post, just a little past 9 years post. I've done very well. I picked up a pound here and there. And when I eat something that's terribly bad, I feel it immediately, but that also reminds me just to go through and to do the very best I can. So again, those 3 points, make sure it is sensible, based on some true, honest recommendations by someone who specializes in your field. Serviceable, it's something that you can get done during the day and make sure you can adapt your life to make sure it works. And it's sustainable. Don't go overboard to where you just get frustrated and quit, because it'd be terrible to end up eating cheesecake and cheeseburgers and pizzas and hot dogs every day and not allowing this gracious, wonderful gift to be able to do the best that it can. Thank you so much for joining today. Thanks so much for the question. Until next time, stay stronger, friends.